Hi, this is Doug Fields with another Leaders or Learners tape. This tape may be the most important one I've done in this multi-tape series for volunteer youth workers. This tape is about endurance and hanging in there for the long haul. I know too many volunteers who are too easily discouraged and they just quit too soon. Now let's bottom line this from the very beginning. Youth ministry isn't easy, but it is important. If a church is to be healthy, it needs a healthy youth ministry. And for a youth ministry to be healthy, it needs men and women who are healthy youth workers, and healthy youth workers are growing spiritually, and they're committed to stick it out and not be another adult to come in and out of the life of a student. Let me start by thanking you for doing youth ministry today and for loving students and loving God. Thanks also for being a learner and listening to this tape. Good leaders are learners, and this is one way to keep that learning and leading edge. Now, the big idea of this tape is that teenagers need healthy adults in their lives, adults who are committed to Christ for the long haul and committed to a youth ministry. Is that you? Well, regardless of how you respond to that question, I hope this tape will serve as a tool to encourage you. I grew up playing sports as a kid. I love sports. One of the kids in my youth group recently said, "Doug, you look like you used to be an athlete." Ouch. Now that hurt a little, but those kind of comments seem to go with the territory of youth ministry. And as a former athlete, I have incredible respect for triathletes. When I watch them today, I get tired just watching them. I mean, triathletes swim 2.5 miles, they bike 112 miles, and then they run a marathon 26.2 miles. Their dedication and endurance is unbelievable. Now, the reason I mention these athletes is because I believe youth ministry is a lot like a triathlon. Now, you may be thinking, well, I can relate to the endurance of surviving a bad Bible study or a small group, or the endurance of making it through a weekend retreat, maybe even the endurance of a short jog to the grocery store. But a triathlete? Isn't that for iron men and women who don't have enough sense to stop exercising? Well, granted, a triathlete is a unique individual who is willing to endure the challenge of biking, swimming, and running a long way. But it's also a fair analogy of a youth worker. Think about all that's involved with youth ministry. Between counseling and listening and playing and reading, visiting, praying, planning, loving on kids, driving places, I could go on, couldn't I? I mean, a youth worker's job description is multitasked and endless. And that's just one layer of a youth worker's life. I haven't even begun to mention family and work responsibilities. So for youth workers, youth ministry is like a triathlon, but a triathlon that never ends. So the important question is, how do we build endurance for long-term youth ministry so we stay strong until God calls us out, rather than quitting early because we burned out? What I want to do in this tape is I want to take a look at 5 ways that we can build endurance so we last the distance. The first thing I want to say is this: endurance comes from wise planning. Because I still dream about being an athlete, I try to enter some 5K or 10K runs each year just to stay in shape. But last year I decided to try to run a half marathon, about 12 miles. And since I thought I was in pretty good shape, and because of other life responsibilities, I had to limit my training to a few miles every 3rd day or so. And when the race day came, I thought I was going to make the 12 miles easy. And at the sound of the starting gun, with the adrenaline pumping through my body, I blasted out to the front of the pack of the runners. I was thinking, man, I'm doing pretty good for the first 400 yards. Then I soon realized what it was going to take for me to make it to finish the race. I needed to slow down, I needed to pace myself, and I needed to call a cab. Basically, I didn't plan wisely. And that day I learned that building endurance for marathons takes more than some natural inclination and haphazard training. Building endurance takes planning and effort.